Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. On this episode, I'm going to be talking about the treatments I've had for endometriosis and polycystic ovaries and how I found them, and then basically how then I fell pregnant. So in my previous episode where we've spoken about the fact that, I went to the specialist and he said that in order to see if it was endometriosis, I'd need to have a laparoscopy. Now, one of the things that people think is that you can find endometriosis on an ultrasound scan. You can't find endometriosis on an ultrasound scan, and if they can find it on there, it's because it's so bad that they've seen signs of endometriosis, but it cannot be diagnosed on a ultrasound or any scan. So if you're getting scans and they've said to you, look, you don't have endometriosis, don't take this as a no, because you can't be diagnosed unless you go through a laparoscopy, and that is a fact. So I had a laparoscopy, I had my first one, and I remember thinking, obviously the recovery I've spoken to in my last question of the day, I answered that for you guys, but basically 6 months after my first laparoscopy, I felt as though it started to grow back. Now, a lot of people were like, no, you're crazy, there's no way it could grow back, etc. Now, what I was talking about before in a previous episode is that, being in touch with your body, I just knew it had grown back. I can't explain it. It was the sort of pains that I was feeling. I could feel it growing back. It's the most bizarre feeling. Anyway, I remember contacting my surgeon and telling him this, and he was going, look, is it unbearable? Is it unbearable? Because you need to get to the point of unbearable before we operate again, because, you don't want to have too many, because obviously there can be complications in having laparoscopy. Your organs can end up sticking together. It's not like, oh, you can just have so many laparoscopies and keep burning it away. There has to come a point where, you're kind of, well, I guess keeping it at bay in a way, because you just can't keep having laparoscopies. So I said to him, look, I am in pain, but I'm not at that point where I was before I had my laparoscopy, so I'll wait a little bit. Anyway, it got to 18 months, and I remember ringing him back and saying, look, I can't cope with the pain anymore. It's got to that stage. We're going to have to operate again. Now, obviously, luckily, I went private with this, because the NHS, unfortunately, didn't refer me. They just kept putting me on the pill. They just weren't taking me seriously. I'm not knocking the NHS, because they do a fab job with everything, but this was my personal experience with them. I did have to go private, and obviously, I got an appointment straight away, a consultation. And so when it came back to the 18 months after my laparoscopy and me needing another operation, I saw my consultant straight away again. He booked me in, and this was in the September 2000 and I want to say 18. And I had my laparoscopy, and he told me that my endometriosis had grown further and it had gotten worse since last time, which is not what you want to hear. He said, that he'd taken it all away as much as he could, and he told me the areas where he found it. I think he said somewhere in my ovary. I honestly can't remember where the places where that he found it, but he put it all in my notes, but it was in a few places. And he said, I would recommend you going for an induced menopause. Now, at this time, I was with my partner, and we had spoken about doing IVF. And the next stage for him was to go and get his sperm analysis done. With this, the surgeon said to me, look, if you're trying for children and you don't want to go on this, I completely understand. And I said, to be honest, I just can't have this pain anymore. So what is the induced menopause? And he said, well, we basically put you into a medical menopause. So we give you, what he was going to give me was Zoladex each month. So I'd go to my GP, my doctor, and they'd put this implant in me. And they'd alternate each month. One would be on my right, near my right ovary, one would be on my left side. And they'd be putting in, it kind of was like this big, and it looked a bit like a chip, but it wasn't a chip. I don't know how to explain it. Anyway, Zoladex went in once every month. And alongside that, I had to take a Liviel hormone replacement kind of tablet, and that kept my hormones up. Now, this was like the weirdest thing for me, because I can't explain how bad I was on this, because I didn't understand until my family sat me down and they said, listen, you are horrific on these tablets and on this induced menopause, you are terrible. And I was like, well, what did you mean? Like, what am I doing? I just couldn't see it. And they said, you know, you're erratic, you've got mood swings all over the place, literally as if you were going through a real life menopause. So, you know, I wasn't getting periods. I would be really hormonal, I'd be crying all the time, or I'd be really, really aggressive, or I'd be flying off the handle. I was just a raging nightmare. And anyone that I've spoken to on Instagram about this say, oh my God, my partner says I'm the same. You know, it's awful. I can't help myself. And I genuinely couldn't help myself. And it was really, really bad when I had the implant first inserted in the month. You know, it'd be that first week that my hormones would be sky high, that I would be a raging mess. And then they'd start to level out a bit. So like the last 2.5, 3 weeks of the month would be okay. Anyway, I was meant to be on that for 3 months. And then they said to me that, you know, you can go a bit longer if you want. So I thought, do you know what? I feel as though this is helping. I haven't had any of my endometriosis symptoms. I'm kind of liking not having a period. I'm going to stay on this a bit longer. So I stayed on it until February 2019. And so that was 6 months. I think you can do around 12 or 18 months. There is a cut-off point where they say that you shouldn't be on it longer than that, but I can't remember what that is, so I wouldn't want to say. Then I came off that, and they said to me, you know, it might take a while for your periods to regulate. So I was like, okay, cool. I was due to have my bloods tested. I remember that was in the July. So they booked my appointment to have my bloods tested to see if I'd started ovulating again, because obviously you don't ovulate on the induced menopause. So I had my first blood test in July 2019 where they said that I'd started to ovulate, but I wasn't getting a period. So it was all a bit weird. But at least I knew that my body was slowly starting to come back, because obviously the risk is with the induced menopause that, you know, you will stay in an induced menopause state, you know, that your body may not restart and you may not, you know, go back to releasing an egg each month, etc. So in July, when it came back that I was ovulating again, you know, that made me happy, and I still didn't have the kind of pains that I was having before because I hadn't started my period. July was a month that I fell pregnant by a miracle. So that was me naturally conceiving, which was mental because I'd been told that I wouldn't naturally conceive. And obviously I was meant to be going down the IVF route. Oh, by the way, guys, at this point, I wasn't with my ex-partner, because otherwise you're going to think, well, you know, when did you go down the IVF route? I was going down the IVF route. I think it was after my laparoscopy, September 2018. And then we split up. And then obviously I went through the induced menopause, etc. And then I fell pregnant. So I have a little miracle baby, and it's been great to hear other people's positive stories on their miracle babies as well, because I think it gives other women hope. And, you know, when you go through this, like we were talking about the mental health side of it, you know, it really does affect you. You know, you really put a downer on things and you go, oh my God, I'm never going to be able to have children, you know, it's never going to be me. But I mean, I know a lot of people say they don't believe in crystals. Me personally, my belief, I do believe that crystals helped me. I got into crystals and believing in them. I wore a fertility bracelet, fertility, pregnancy and childbirth bracelet, and I went to a crystal shop myself, and I believe that certain crystals stood out to me. And when I asked the man in the shop what each crystal was, they all related to like womb problems, you know, something endometrial or polycystic ovaries or childbirth or anything to do with like the womanly parts. They were kind of them. So I wore it anyway, and I believe in this. You know, some people don't believe in things, some people do. I personally believe in them, so I wear them and I connect with them, you know. So I wore my fertility, pregnancy and childbirth bracelet, which I actually have ended up teaming with a crystal company. They were established before. They're lovely girls. They're from Liverpool, and they're really into their energies and their Reiki healing. They've got certificates in them, and I've teamed up with them to replicate my exact one, because I felt as though that really helped me on my journey, and I wanted to kind of give hope to other women, and so I teamed up with them, and it has given hope to other women, and I'm so glad that I've managed to, you know, change their mindset into a positive one, because there's nothing worse than being put in that horrible negative mental state of, I've been told I can't have children. You know, you need to think positive in life. I do believe that what you put out there into the universe will come back around, and so I have teamed up with them. I will pop their Instagram handle. In fact, I'll pop it here so you can click on them. I do have a collection with them. It's called the LG Fertility Mother and Baby Collection, where they also do the amber bracelets as well for babies teething, which I use obviously because I believe in crystals. I know that some people have said, oh, I don't believe in them, you know, they don't help women. But if you don't believe in them, then you don't have to go and, you know, you don't have to believe them, you don't have to buy them, because I personally use them for my journey. So I wanted to offer it to other women that also believed in them, you know. Another thing that I wanted to talk about on that actually is the fact that we've had 5 women message us to say that they have been wearing the pregnancy bracelet, and since they've been wearing it, they believe themselves that it's helped them get pregnant, and we've had 5 positive pregnancies. So we're really, really happy for those females and for those women because they've managed to get their miracle baby. So fingers crossed it all goes well and they end up giving birth to the miracle baby. The other thing that I've had as well is scans previously to this where they were like, no, you're absolutely fine. You know, you don't have anything. As I've said before, you have to be diagnosed by laparoscopy. And then the other thing is blood tests. I was given blood tests for ages about your hormone levels, or let me see if you're ovulating. And I was ovulating, but I still had polycystic ovaries. So if you do feel that you have endometriosis or something isn't right, then you have to push for a referral, and you have to just be stern with them because, you know, a lot of people now are saying to people, you know, I told you that I needed to be diagnosed and to be referred and you didn't. And it's becoming court cases now. So yeah, just basically stick to your guns, and if you believe in it, then, as in if you believe that you have it, then you have to do something about it because only you know the pain that you're going through. Oh, the only other thing I will say actually is PCOS. Like I said, the only thing I really got from that was the fact that my eggs weren't maturing in one of my ovaries. As they were growing, it would get to a point they wouldn't mature, and then they just turn into empty cyst-like sacs kind of thing in my ovary. So I don't think one of my ovaries was, you know, as efficient as the other. It wasn't doing the whole egg cycle properly. So the question of the day is, how did I deal with the possibility of not being able to conceive naturally? I didn't deal with it very well. Not gonna lie, I struggled. I remember coming home, I was in floods of tears. And do you know what? The hardest thing about it is, if I'm being completely, brutally honest, is the fact then that other people around you or your family members are trying for babies. That was like a knife in the heart. Like, I feel as though I was battling with like being happy for them, but then also knowing that it's something that I might not be able to experience. Obviously, I've managed to experience it now, and I'm so grateful. And I do feel for everyone that maybe, you know, wasn't as lucky as me, because I don't know how I would have felt if obviously my sister Chloe had a baby and I would never have been able to have a baby. I mean, me and Chloe spoke about the fact that, you know, if I did IVF and if I wasn't able to carry my baby in my womb, you know, would she would be a surrogate for me. We've spoken about loads of things because it's something where I had to like process and think about other options. Obviously doing IVF. Then there was like obviously adoption, but I wanted it to be a part of me. So it was just really hard. But, you know, and I remember even some of my friends were like, oh, I didn't tell you that I was pregnant because I didn't want to upset you, because I know that obviously you're going through all your struggles right now. And I used to think, oh my God, am I putting this onto other people? But it is hard. I would say don't bottle it up, because when you bottle it up, it makes things 10 times worse. And I'd say that to not think negatively. I know it's easier said than done, but that's why I said to you guys I got into crystals, because I had to switch up my mindset. I was in this really dark place where, you know, I'd been told this news. I felt as though I was never going to have a family, and it was something that I'd always wanted. When I say a family, I mean like obviously a child. Like I love children. I always wanted to be a mother. And, you know, it can get you into that dark place, especially when it's something that you've always wanted. And it's also, being a woman, it's something that you never thought would ever be taken from you. Like, you're born, and that is what you're technically meant to be able to do. You know, you're meant to be able to give birth and conceive and grow this wonderful baby inside you. And it's something then that I thought, oh my God, I'm just never going to experience this. So it was hard. It was really, really hard. And I definitely say that people that are going through it, to be supportive to one another, because I mean, it really did affect me. And I'm just thinking as well that, again, that is why I obviously got into believing in crystals and the universe and energies and putting out positive energies and not letting negative energy come in. Like, whenever anything negative comes my way, I literally just shut the door on it, and I won't allow it in, because what you kind of radiate out, I feel, will come back. So you just got to start thinking positive and throwing out there that it will, and that when the time's right, it will happen. And hopefully it will for you guys as well. So if you like my video, please hit the like button, the notification bell, and subscribe to my channel. And then here's my Instagram. Hope you guys liked the video, and take care, and I'll see you next time.